Hey girl, how you doing? This is Kitt Chester coming to you from Fine Wine, which is my video series for those of us who are 50 plus and of course fabulous. And if you're under 50, you're feel free to join us too. Come on in, come on in. So, Fine Wine is presented to you by TrampoLEAN Xtreme. And TrampoLEAN Xtreme is my one-stop shop total body fun fitness workout that you can check out on my Facebook page. You can check it out on YouTube, and please subscribe on YouTube, and you can follow me on Instagram. I will put the links below for your convenience. So, shall we get on to today's topic? Yes, we shall. So, today's topic is guilt trips are not free, so don't take them. Unlike a vacation that you pay money for, you expect to have a good time when you go on a vacation, your trip, your vacation. It's great, yeah, but this ain't that when it comes to guilt trips. Guilt trips are not free because they will cost you something. They will cost you money, they can cost you time, and they can cost you a great deal of control of your life if you let them. So, guilt trips come in many forms and fashions. Guilt trips can be very subtle and they can be very blatant. And so that we're on the same page, I'll give you some examples of what I mean. So, a blatant guilt trip is this, and I'm sure you've all heard this before. Someone asks you to do something, and then they follow it up with, I would do it for you. Yeah, so that's pretty much a very blatant guilt trip because they're saying, well, why not do it for me? I will do it for you. So they're guilt tripping you into doing it, whatever it is they want you to do. And we'll come back to that later. And so a subtle guilt trip, and this is this speaks a lot about how guilt trips, like I said, they come in different forms and fashions. So let's say you're in line at a grocery store and you have a basket and you've got a bunch of stuff in your basket, and someone, you glance behind you and there's somebody back there and they have like one item or one or two items or whatever, and you can kind of tell by a person's body language. So a person that is not expecting anything of you, they basically are in line, they're looking around, they're not expecting anything from anyone. They haven't kind of perused your chart to see that your cart to see that you have a bunch of stuff in your cart and they only have one or two items. They're basically in the frame of mind where they're going to wait their turn. Well, other people, you can look back and you can see the body language. You can see them guilt tripping you into wanting to go ahead of you, even though they haven't said a word. And it's not like you're taking it up on yourself to think this. You can actually physically see their body language if you pay attention. So you can go on that guilt trip if you want to. That one's not really going to cost you anything, but it is a scenario where guilt trips are kind of embedded into our everyday consciousness, and it's not that the person said anything to you, is that you feel a certain way about it because you got all of this stuff and they only have one item. So, these things apply to your life like every day. So it's the up close relationships and it's the far away relationships, but you do have to pay attention so that you can manage them accordingly. Okay. So knowing this, we're all exposed to guilt trips, and we can submit to them. So that's the question as to whether or not you submit to them, just like I just said about the one with someone, in line behind you with one item. You can submit to that. That's your choice to do that or not. But it's about how much energy you put into certain things and how much you give away of yourself when you allow that guilt trip feeling to take control of your situation or circumstance. And you might not think that it's a big deal, but when you think about it, guilt tripping is a way of manipulation. It can manipulate your life. The people that use guilt tripping as a way to control what they want to get out of you, it is manipulation. So you have to think of it that way. And not saying that that people are intentionally guilt tripping you. They may not even be aware that they're doing it. Some people are aware and they use it very effectively, and some people aren't aware that they're doing it, but they are doing it and they can be doing it. You just have to pay attention to the sign. And there's like two elements of guilt tripping that you should consider. Let's say one is mentality, and the other is character. Okay, so if we go with the mentality, let's go with an example that everybody can relate to. Thinking of mentality, children. Children are master guilt trippers. They learn the behavior organically because from the time they're brought into this world, there are three components that they will learn to understand. You, as a parent, you want to make them happy, you want to provide for them, and you want to protect them. So organically, those relationships, that socialization, organically they learn how to use and kind of manipulate those components for their own well-being, so it's like self-preservation. But it's not like they're intentionally going out to do it, it just happens. And if you think about the different things, we've all heard these things said by our kids, so it's not like I'm making up stuff that's not true. You've heard these things said by your kids. So so and so parents is letting them go on the trip, why can't I go? So and so has the new Jordans, why can't I have new Jordans? Or so and so is getting an Xbox for Christmas, why can't I get an Xbox for Christmas? So if that's not guilt tripping, what is it? But again, your children understand the element of the components when it comes to, they want to make you happy, you want to make them happy, and you want to provide for them. Okay, so it's not about protection, but they understand how to apply the components when it's necessary, when they want to get what they want to get out of it. So it's a guilt trip, but they you wouldn't call it that for coming from a kid, but that's exactly what it is. And as your children grow, you manage how you allow certain things that they do or their behaviors to affect you. So you teach them, well, just because so and so's parents did that for them, that doesn't mean that you're going to get it or you can go or whatever. So you manage their behavior. But unchecked, as children grow and they get older and they become adults, then they learn the effectiveness of guilt tripping without actually recognizing that that's what it is. And like I said earlier, some people know how to play the game, but some people, it's just kind of an organic character. And now it's a part of their character because it's what they've learned. It's how they've learned to operate. It's how they learn to get what they want. So you have to think of guilt tripping as two sides of the same coin. One is when those kids grow up, and if that character exhibited that they use guilt as a way to get what they want, they're going to encounter two types of people. They're going to encounter the guilt trip immune people who are immune to guilt tripping from them, or they're going to encounter the guilt trip susceptible people, people who are susceptible to being guilt tripped because they feel a certain way when they can't make somebody happy. And it's kind of ingrained in us. We want to make people happy. So all of the relationships that we have in our life, whether it's mother, father, whether it's your brothers and sisters, whether it's your sons, your daughters, whether it's your friends and your coworkers, all of these relationships have success. I can hardly say this word, susceptibility when it comes to their relationship with you. So socialization creates these things, and you have to kind of pay attention to which side of the coin you're going to be using, which side you're going to flip to, depending on that individual relationship with the person. So back to the person at the grocery store. You can be susceptible to that scenario because it's not going to cost you really anything. One person in front of you in line with one item, it may not cost you anything, but that item might not have a price tag on it, so it may cost you some time because now they've got to go and check the price, so it's taking longer than you thought it would take. But at the end of the day, it's not a major deal. But you do have to manage your guilt trip currency. You have to recognize which side of that coin you're going to be flipping when it comes to the people, especially the ones that are close in your life. And I always like to try to use examples of things that happen in my own life so that I can relate it to my topic. So I have someone who wasn't really a close friend of mine, was someone who I was in contact with, a social person, like an acquaintance, let's say. And so this person was in a hard place, in a really bad place. And so I was in their life to kind of be emotional support, spiritual support, and even sometimes financial support for them. So I was there to do whatever I could do. And at a certain point, this person started asking things of me that I felt were, way beyond what they should have been asking, especially since I was already investing a great deal of my time and energy into helping them through the situation that they were in. And when these things were asked of me, my initial response was, no, I'm not doing that. And then right behind that was this feeling of, well, they're in a bad place, you could do it. But then I had to flip back to the other side of the coin, because if I don't create some boundaries, it would be ongoing and it would continue to grow and grow and grow. So I had to not get on that guilt trip train, because, and I applied it myself. I did it. So I had to recognize what it was, and I had to kind of stop it to say, no, I'm not doing that, because I know where this is going to take me. It's going to take me into a place that I don't want to be. It's going to take me into situation and circumstances that I don't really necessarily want to be involved in. So this goes back to my first example when it comes to that blatant guilt tripping. When someone says to you, and I want to leave you with this because I think this is really important. When someone says something to you like, well, I would do it for you. They ask you to do something and they follow it with, well, I would do it for you. Ask yourself this question. Should they ask you, or would I ask you to do it for me? Or should I ask you to do it for me? And if the answer is no, you may want to bring that what's inside your head out. You might want to verbalize that to say, I wouldn't ask you to do that for me. I wouldn't want to put you in that position. And if you've lived any life at all, you know that people will ask you to do things that they shouldn't ask you to do, and people will ask you to put yourself in positions that you shouldn't put yourself in. So you have to stand your ground and recognize when this is going to be a very bad guilt trip if you decide to take it, and when the train stops, when you don't want to be a part of that scenario, and when you don't want to be involved in something. So like I said earlier, a lot of times people think that it's not a big deal when it comes to the guilt trip scenario, but you kind of have to examine the relationships that you're in. You have to examine the character of the people that are in your life, that are putting you in situations that you don't want to be in, or that are not comfortable for you, that are costing you your time, your money, your peace of mind, the control in your life. So again, guilt trips are not free. They're not free. So don't take them. So I will leave you with that. And if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, as always, like, comment, share, and as I said earlier, please follow me on my Facebook page. You can check out my YouTube channel and subscribe, and hit the notification buttons on the social media sites so that you will have access to all of my content when I post it, or you're made aware of my content when I post it. So thanks again for checking me out today, and I will see you in my next video. I appreciate you always, and have a blessed day. Mwah. See you next time.